I'm gonna bail Judge Arnone out because judicial rules don't allow him to speak as freely as I can. So just to what he's talking about is this: they're looking at legislation that would make it stricter on the dealers. So if someone sold a drug and then someone had an OD, then you could go after the person who sold the drugs for the murder of the person who had an overdose. So it's a two-pronged approach that I'm really a big fan of, and I'm working on that in Harrisburg, and that is to, one, treat the person that's using it as if it's a public health issue and get them remediation, counseling, get them in a rehab center, to take that approach with the user, but with the person that's trafficking and selling, increase the penalties on those people. So it's a two-pronged approach. And again, I think Judge Arnone wanted to say that, but because he's a judge, he can't talk about legislative issues. So I'm going to hand it back over to Judge Arnone.
Thank you, Senator. And you're right, the First Amendment does give free speech, but I'm unfortunately sworn to an oath, so I have to be careful what I say. But anyways, thank you guys all for your attention, and I have just one thing to leave you with. This is something that I carry with me, and I hope it will be meaningful to you. Consult not your fears, but your hopes and your dreams. Think not about your frustrations, but about your unfulfilled potential. Concern yourself not with what you tried and failed in, but what is still yet possible for you to do. That statement was made by Pope John the 23rd many, many years ago, and it still holds true today. God bless you all. Thank you.
Well, we're getting into the meat of it. And I couldn't be more grateful to have both Senator and Judge Arnone here. Yet, for me, 3 is the number of resurrection. And our next speaker will do just that because he also has the background, the experience, and the day-to-day meeting of what we've been talking about so far. And I look over at the officers, and I think of the canine, and we're surrounded by our dignitaries and our officials and our ministers, yet it's our officers who are in the background, but yet come face to face with everything we've mentioned here so far. Can we give our police officers a big round of applause? And that's very important to me because I was raised to respect police officers. And I think that, I know that needs to be done daily, because they put their lives on the line for us. While we're sleeping in bed, they're putting their life on the line. So I'm entirely grateful for them as well. Before we get too far, and I invite my dear friend, Mr. Grealish, up here, I have a couple special thanks. I want to thank Attorney David Schrager, Gino Levy Salon, Ed Swartz from Rita's, Al's Cafe. All of these businesses were instrumental in putting a lot of this together. When I say this, this stage was hand-built by Pastor Jera, but yet it was those kind of sponsors that supplied the needs we had. Also, I want to thank, of course, Rich Woods from Life Recovery, and he's also, see this sign here? See this sign here? Rich Woods and his buddy Giles, they stayed up until 5 o'clock this morning to finish the sign. They're not here, but could you give them a big round of applause? So, and also I want to thank personally Bishop Jonathan Stewart and my friend Walt Martin and all the people from New Covenant Church. And of course, give them a big round of applause too. There's people like Marge Cabaney from Interior Designs and Sissy from Upholstering that helped as well. So, and of course, my beautiful wife, Heather Viola, and Charity Jara, and all these people. Give them a big round of applause. Now, this next gentleman, I call him my friend, and very special guy. And I believe that the Word of God tells us that the season that you're in is preparing you for the next season, okay? And I met this gentleman 30 years ago. And he was in his season and I was in mine. But the good news is, or the God news is, the seasons we were in were the beginnings of recovery. And Tim and I facing each other, knowing each other 30 years ago, we go back then rather than Reverend Viola and Tim Grealish, LLC. We go back to the nitty-gritty, the roots of where recovery started for us. And now God has put Tim in a place where he is effective to save lives. Could you put your hands together for Tim Grealish, interventionist, TEG.